you consider yourself truly free? Think carefully before answering. You wake up and immediately reach for your phone, scrolling endlessly in search of something new, something to divert your attention. Then comes the coffee, a quick hit of dopamine from a short video, a song to chase away boredom. On your commute, whether to work or school, you consume more stimuli: podcasts, social media, constant notifications. And when silence finally arrives, what do you feel? Discomfort, emptiness, a sensation that drives you to chase yet another distraction, another instant pleasure. Pleasure itself isn't the enemy. It's a natural function of the human brain, an evolutionary nudge to seek what ensures survival. But what if pleasure becomes the cage itself? When the compulsion to feel good constantly turns us into captives of endless instant gratification. Nearly a century ago, Aldous Huxley foresaw this. While George Orwell envisioned brutal oppression in 1984, Huxley imagined something subtler and more terrifying: a world where coercion isn't needed because people are so entertained, so saturated with pleasure, that rebellion never crosses their minds. A society where chains are unnecessary and servitude is loved. Look around. What do you see? An obsession with entertainment, unbounded consumption of pleasure, the pursuit of immediate relief from discomfort. But at what cost? Is this constant chase for instant happiness liberating you or keeping you imprisoned? In this video, we'll explore how society trains us to rely on pleasure as a control mechanism, transforming us perhaps unknowingly into voluntary slaves. If you believe your mind is truly yours, keep watching. You might soon realize it never was. Perfect slavery needs no chains, no threats, no torture. It thrives on something deceptively simple, yet devastatingly effective: pleasure. When pleasure becomes the core of existence, servitude masquerades as freedom. And that's precisely what Huxley depicted in Brave New World. Imagine a world where questioning is unnecessary, because constant entertainment occupies every moment, where the pursuit of meaning is replaced by shallow distractions. And pleasure is not a choice, it's imposed. In Huxley's dystopia, people are conditioned from birth to avoid anything uncomfortable. Any negative feeling, unease, doubt, existential angst is immediately solved. A dose of soma, the perfect drug, numbs every sensation and ensures compliance. But consider your own life. When boredom, sadness, or frustration hits, what's your first response? Do you pause to reflect, or do you reach for a distraction? Social media, streaming, food, alcohol, shopping, sex, pornography, games, the list goes on. We live in an era of instant gratification, where any discomfort can be drowned in seconds with a single tap. The void doesn't need facing. It's filled with pleasure. And here's the subtle trap: it feels like choice. No one forces you to scroll endlessly, binge watch, or consume constantly. No gun points at your head demanding obedience. Yet stopping is almost impossible. Why? Conditioning. Repeatedly seeking immediate pleasure teaches the brain that discomfort is intolerable and must be escaped. Over time, you lose the ability to tolerate silence, boredom, or introspection. You become incapable of being alone with your thoughts. And before you know it, you're the exact type Huxley predicted: a joyful servant, imprisoned not by force, but by pleasure. But how does this happen? How does conditioning train us to reject critical thinking and trap us in addictive cycles? That's what we'll explore next. If you find this resonates, hit subscribe. Now consider this: why is stopping so difficult? Even when you intend to focus, your hand reaches for the phone, craving the next notification, the next quick hit of information. This is no accident. From birth, we are conditioned to dodge discomfort. Schools teach repetition, not reflection. Jobs emphasize output over thought. Entertainment ensures constant distraction, so questions about the world never surface. The result? A society where the real threat isn't authoritarianism but indifference. Huxley grasped this concept. In Brave New World, citizens loved their own captivity. Hypnopedia learning and sleep repeated mantras like, "Everyone belongs to everyone," and "A gram of soma solves everything," embedding conformity into young minds. Happiness meant avoiding deep thought and fleeing all suffering. Now look around. Our modern conditioning may not use hypnopedia, but it has its analogs: social media algorithms, marketing campaigns, and constant information floods that shape behavior invisibly. Each notification triggers dopamine. Every effortless video reduces independent thought. Rewards for conformity, likes, validation, instant pleasures, cement the belief that this path is correct. The result? Generations incapable of solitude, discomfort, or critical questioning. Dictatorships aren't necessary when people reject effortful thinking themselves. Yet this rejection of critical thinking comes at a cost. Avoiding discomfort at all costs weakens us, making us more manipulable, more fragile. Constant pleasure dulls resilience, and manufactured happiness fosters passivity. But how does this occur? How can a world promising freedom from pain lead to complete submission? That's what we'll examine next. Imagine a society where no one suffers, where all pain is instantly erased, and sadness, frustration, or anxiety simply vanish. It seems like paradise. But look closer. What happens to those who never face challenges? And to a society built to avoid discomfort? The answer is simple: it grows weak. Huxley understood this trap with chilling clarity. In Brave New World, happiness was sustained by soma, a flawless drug offering immediate pleasure without risks. But what did this happiness truly entail? It meant that no one knew how to cope with pain, frustration, or even their own consciousness. Uncomfortable thoughts were instantly neutralized by chemicals. Life became a repetitive loop of shallow pleasures. Sex, consumption, entertainment, and anything outside this pattern was considered threatening. Modern society mirrors this, though without soma. Social media provides instant validation. Dating apps shield from rejection. Algorithms anticipate desires before awareness even exists. All designed to eliminate discomfort, effort, or reflection. But escaping pain constantly comes at a cost: our psychological strength. Pain is essential. Suffering fosters resilience. Frustration promotes growth. Challenges drive evolution. When everything is softened and all difficulties avoided, we become fragile. Minor failures feel catastrophic. Small conflicts seem intolerable. Anything requiring patience or effort is discarded, as society conditions us to choose the easiest, most immediate pleasure. And herein lies the danger: we become controllable. A resilient, discomfort-tolerant society resists control. But emotionally dependent individuals who flee from suffering are easily manipulated. This is the perfect environment for power without coercion. The illusion of freedom, the ability to escape all discomfort, transforms into an invisible prison. However, there is a way out. To break free from this cycle, we must distinguish between pleasure and purpose. Pleasure can enslave, but purpose can liberate. Ask yourself, what are you truly seeking? Happiness or meaning? Pleasure or purpose? Modern society pushes the illusion that happiness is the ultimate goal. But what does it deliver? A never-ending stream of fleeting pleasures like on social media. Impulsive shopping, casual sex, binge-watching series. Ultra-processed food that spikes dopamine and leaves emptiness in its wake. Momentary satisfaction, never lasting fulfillment. Here lies the central problem. Pleasure is temporary. It constantly needs renewal, or the void returns. Consider the pivotal moments in your life, those that shaped who you are. Were they instances of immediate gratification or times of effort, challenge, and perseverance? Viktor Frankl, psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, emphasized in man's search for meaning that humans cannot thrive without purpose. Even in the direst situations, those who found meaning survived and maintained sanity. The paradox is clear: relentless pursuit of pleasure weakens, whereas seeking purpose strengthens. Pleasure is easy, instant, addictive. Purpose demands effort, discipline, and resilience. Unlike fleeting pleasures, purpose endures and builds something within us. But modern society resists this. Purpose requires time, reflection, and confronting discomfort, all contrary to instant consumption. A person driven by purpose doesn't need constant distraction. They aren't compelled to fill every moment with shallow entertainment. They cannot be manipulated by promises of instant happiness. That's why society bombards us with stimuli, diverting attention from meaningful pursuits. A purposeful individual is a threat to a system thriving on emotional dependence. If you feel something is missing, the solution may not be more pleasure, but less. Perhaps the path forward isn't accumulation, but elimination of distractions. The critical question is, what truly motivates you? What makes you rise each morning? Are you feeding on disposable pleasures or constructing something of real significance? So how do we escape this trap? How do we regain control of our own minds in a world designed to keep us distracted, doped, and emotionally dependent? First, understand this: it's not an easy battle. The system is built for your failure. It wants you seeking quick pleasures, feeding algorithms with your attention, consuming endlessly. But escape is possible, starting with awareness. The first step is strategic deprivation of pleasure. This doesn't mean rejecting all enjoyment, but consciously regulating exposure to addictive stimuli. The problem isn't pleasure itself, it's how it's exploited against you. Temporarily avoiding social media, ultra-processed food, or compulsive entertainment resets your brain. Satisfaction returns to simple things, and the obsessive craving for artificial stimuli weakens. The second step is rebuilding tolerance for discomfort. Autonomy requires relearning to face boredom, frustration, and silence. Disconnect from constant information. Simply exist without filling every moment with distraction. Initially, it will be hard. Your dopamine-addicted brain will demand more, but resistance brings realization. Discomfort doesn't harm, it strengthens. Third, cultivate critical thinking. Ask yourself, why do I constantly seek distraction? Who profits from my dependence on pleasure? What could I accomplish if free from instant gratification? Questioning reveals that many habits and desires were implanted by the system, not chosen by you. Only through these inquiries can you begin to reclaim your destiny. The fourth, and perhaps most crucial, step is replacing pleasure with purpose. Meaning is the antidote to the slavery of constant pleasure. Ask yourself, what truly matters? What do I want to build? How can life gain significance? Difficult questions, but the only ones that genuinely count. Yet, even as you free yourself, society remains entrenched in distraction. Change invites reactions. Some admire, others reject. By freeing yourself, you mirror realities others refuse to confront. This is what we will explore in the final part. By now, something inside you may already stir. You realize the relentless pursuit of pleasure isn't freedom, but conditioning that ensnares. You see that physical chains aren't needed. Fleeing discomfort suffices to bind us. But knowing the trap is only the first step. What will you do with this insight? Escaping this system requires more than willpower. It demands going against the current, rejecting the easiest path, and accepting that real freedom often comes with solitude and resistance. When you stop filling every moment with distractions, clarity emerges. You begin to see, and when you see, you notice how many around you remain blind. Reactions will vary. Some admire your change, others feel threatened. By freeing yourself, you challenge their illusions. They may try to pull you back, insisting there's nothing wrong with this system, that life is meant for enjoyment without reflection. But now you know the truth. Pleasure without purpose is another form of slavery. The choice is yours. You can continue the cycle of constant distraction, chasing dopamine and ignoring the emptiness inside. Or you can reclaim control of your mind, cultivate purpose, and become resistant to manipulation. Consider your own life. Have you ever felt trapped in this cycle? Noticed how society subtly uses pleasure to control behavior? Reflecting is the first step toward freedom. If this video has shifted your perspective, like and subscribe to the channel. Here, we question, we reflect, and we seek truths hidden from most. Continuing this journey of self-awareness and liberation requires engagement and awareness. That the first stage begins with observing how pleasure operates in your daily life, recognizing where dependencies lie, and consciously deciding to resist the automatic pull towards shallow distractions. This may include limiting time on social media, avoiding compulsive consumption, and confronting discomfort rather than fleeing it. Awareness alone starts the recalibration. Slowly, your mind reconnects with deeper satisfaction and genuine engagement. The path forward isn't simple, and it's rarely comfortable, but each step builds autonomy, strengthens mental resilience, and fosters the ability to live purposefully rather than reactively. As you progress, your perception shifts. You notice the chains others willingly wear, the distractions that pacify them, and the subtle control embedded in everyday pleasures. Recognizing these patterns is liberating and dangerous, because the system thrives on ignorance and compliance. Now, consider the next step, replacing pleasure with purpose. Purpose is not fleeting like dopamine hits. It builds lasting fulfillment. Ask yourself, what genuinely matters to me? What legacy or impact do I wish to create? Unlike pleasure, purpose demands effort, discipline, and confrontation with discomfort. It doesn't vanish once a moment passes, it accumulates, forming the foundation of a resilient and autonomous life. Yet, society actively discourages this. Purpose requires reflection, patience, and endurance, all counter to instant consumption and distraction. Those who pursue purpose naturally detach from the endless flood of superficial stimuli. They don't need to constantly fill every second with entertainment. They are less susceptible to manipulation by promises of quick happiness. This is why constant bombardment exists, to keep you dependent on pleasure and away from introspection. Every notification, every algorithmically curated post, every marketing ploy reinforces shallow engagement and instant gratification. Liberation, then, begins with awareness, recognizing the difference between artificial pleasure and meaningful pursuit. The conscious decision to step back from distractions, embrace discomfort, and engage in deliberate action is the start of reclaiming autonomy. Small changes, a day without social media, a deliberate pause in consumption, reflection instead of immediate reaction, gradually recalibrate the brain. Pleasure loses its dominion, and the mind learns to derive satisfaction from purpose rather than ephemeral stimuli. Over time, this builds resilience, the ability to tolerate silence, failure, and boredom. Discomfort no longer terrifies. It becomes a teacher, and in this state, a profound shift occurs. The individual ceases to be a puppet of instant gratification, moving instead toward intentional action, critical thinking, and self-determined meaning. You begin to notice how much of your previous behavior was programmed by the system, designed to pacify and control through fleeting pleasure. Recognizing this manipulation is empowering. You are no longer a passive participant in your own life, but an active architect of your mind and actions. Even as you begin this transformation, the environment around you remains steeped in distraction. Society still feeds the constant need for instant pleasure. And as you change, reactions emerge. Admiration from some, discomfort or rejection from others. By freeing yourself, you become a mirror, reflecting truths many refuse to confront. This is an inevitable challenge. People may try to pull you back into the cycle of shallow pleasures, insisting there's nothing wrong with constant entertainment and effortless gratification. But now you see the reality. Living for pleasure alone is a form of slavery, subtle but powerful. The choice is clear. You can continue in habitual distraction, letting each moment be consumed by fleeting stimuli, or you can consciously reclaim control, build purpose, and develop resistance to manipulation. Awareness, discipline, and reflection are your tools. Begin by observing how pleasure operates in your daily routines, noticing dependencies and habitual reactions. Recognize the automatic pull towards superficial engagement and start resisting it intentionally. This recalibration is gradual. Initially, boredom, frustration, and silence will feel uncomfortable, even intolerable. But these sensations are signs of growth. Each moment endured without instant gratification strengthens mental autonomy and inner resilience. As this process unfolds, you begin to see the invisible chains others accept willingly, the distractions that keep them passive, and the subtle control embedded in everyday life. This insight is liberating, though it can also be isolating. You are no longer a passive participant. You actively choose the quality of your engagement with life. The journey requires patience, effort, and reflection, but the result is profound. A mind free from the constant tyranny of superficial pleasure, capable of focusing on meaningful pursuits, and resilient to manipulation. Understanding the distinction between temporary pleasure and lasting purpose is the key. Once you internalize this, you begin to live intentionally rather than reactively, cultivating fulfillment that does not depend on transient stimuli. True freedom emerges not from endless pleasure, but from deliberate choice, critical thinking, and the pursuit of purpose. As you progress, the question becomes, what will you do with this knowledge? Escaping the cycle of constant pleasure isn't a one-time decision. It's an ongoing practice. Every moment presents opportunities to choose purpose over fleeting gratification, reflection over distraction. This requires courage, because real freedom often brings solitude and resistance. Many around you may remain blind, clinging to instant pleasures, and your change will highlight what they refuse to see. Some will admire your autonomy. Others will feel threatened, attempting to lure you back into habitual consumption. This is a natural reaction. By freeing yourself, you disrupt the comfortable illusions that keep others compliant. The truth is that society depends on emotional dependence and avoidance of discomfort to maintain control. Each notification, video, or impulsive habit reinforces passivity and limits critical thought. Understanding this gives power. You can now consciously resist the subtle chains of conditioned pleasure. The journey is not easy. Resistance demands persistence, patience, and willingness to endure boredom, frustration, and silence. Yet discomfort is not the enemy, it is the teacher. Facing it strengthens your mind, sharpens your perception, and cultivates resilience. The next step is applying this awareness. Actively replace the pursuit of ephemeral pleasure with meaningful engagement. Seek projects, goals, and practices that require effort and reflection. Small actions compound over time, rebuilding autonomy and purpose. Each deliberate choice diminishes the influence of external conditioning, rewires your brain toward sustainable satisfaction, and frees you from the addictive loop of distraction. Slowly, pleasure no longer dominates your decisions. Instead, purpose guides them. The more consistent your practice, the more you transform, stepping out of the system's subtle control. This is the true path to liberation, freedom not given, but reclaimed through awareness, discipline, and pursuit of meaning. Finally, the ultimate step, living with purpose in a world designed for distraction. Now that you see the trap, you must decide. Continue in habitual pursuit of instant pleasure, or consciously take control of your mind. Building purpose requires reflection, effort, and patience. but it generates lasting fulfillment. Ask yourself, what truly matters? What will I build? How can my life have significance? These questions are not easy, but they are essential. Even as you transform, society remains immersed in distraction, and reactions from others will vary. Some will admire your clarity, others will resist it, feeling threatened by the mirror you hold up to their lives. But this is part of the journey. Freedom is not effortless. It comes with solitude, resistance, and sometimes discomfort. Recognizing the difference between ephemeral pleasure and lasting purpose allows you to navigate life intentionally. Each choice to prioritize meaning over distraction reinforces autonomy and resilience. Awareness alone is not enough. You must act deliberately, gradually reducing dependency on artificial pleasures and strengthening tolerance for discomfort. Over time, your mind rewires, superficial pleasure loses control, and purpose directs your attention, energy, and decisions. True liberation is realized when you live guided by meaning, not by the constant need for stimulation. Pleasure without purpose is bondage. Purpose without distraction is freedom. The choice is yours. You can continue to chase fleeting dopamine hits, ignoring the emptiness inside, or take control, cultivate purpose, and become resilient, self-determined, and autonomous. The first step is awareness. The next is action. Question, reflect, and deliberately pursue what matters. This is how you reclaim your mind, resist manipulation, and discover authentic freedom. So what will you choose? Will you remain a willing prisoner of pleasure, or become a master of your own purpose? The path is clear, but walking it requires courage, discipline, and unwavering commitment. Start today. And if this video has made you see the world differently, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Here, we don't go with the flow. We question, reflect, and seek to understand the truths that no one wants you to see. See you in the next video.